As a real estate agent, the last couple weeks have been very tumultuous. From the settlement coming down to higher interest rates and, all the things changing, agents have taken a continuum of reaction and emotion to what is to come in our industry. Today, I'm going to tell you there's 3 types of agents. 2 of them will really struggle come the middle of 2024. The other one will thrive and survive. So we're going to dive into all of that. I'm going to explain what this video series is going to look like and what I'm doing to absolutely trudge forward and help agents just like you win every single day at the game of real estate through using the NAR settlements and what might come as an opportunity to absolutely crush it. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. I am so excited to launch this 10 video series. Over the next month, you will get a ton of knowledge on what you can do to absolutely set yourself up for success and turn what may be a scary moment in the NAR opportunity into something special. And so I hope that you click that subscribe button. If you're listening on the podcast, please share this. If I say something that, maybe you heard somebody a little bit living in fear and what I say could inspire them and help them, that's ultimately what I'm here for, to build these communities up, to be a beacon of hope and ideas and all the things for agents just like you. So go ahead and like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you need some sort of accountability, throw a comment in there and let's keep in touch. Let's go back and forth and make sure you are not in the 2 groups of agents that are going to really struggle and you are in the one that is going to crush it. So I promise this isn't going to be just another video about the NAR settlements and so on, but we do have to talk about them. And we do have to step back as agents. And I challenge you to read the information that NAR is putting out. I challenge you to not read the complete craziness of editorials. Maybe skim the headlines so you know what your clients might be seeing, because that's the biggest deal in all of this, is what the information that is completely false and blown out of proportion is going to our clients. But don't spend a lot of time in the headlines. Definitely don't spend a lot of time in the comments or in those Facebook groups that realtors like to go to air their entire life concerns and so on. But just read the information that NAR is handing down, that, people are putting out there that, could be beneficial to you, right? If we're going to make major changes based on, the changes that we see coming, we always say, prepare for the worst and maybe it won't happen. But if you're prepared, you're going to be way ahead. We don't want articles that are fear mongering, but we also don't want the articles that say nothing's going to change. This isn't going to change the industry. So first and foremost, get a solid foundation of what is actually going to change. And then when you're reading those things, you will absolutely start to feel a few things. There's a bunch of camps in the, hey, this is an opportunity, what do we need to do? And there's 3 types of agents. There's the type of agent that it says, it's never going to change, nothing, this isn't going to change my business. I've been doing it this way for 30 years or 30 months or three months, whatever it is. I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to put my head down and do it. That agent could be blindsided when the industry changes, right? That's just natural. The next agent is the agent that is just saying, well, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait and figure out what the rules are, and I'm going to play in the sandbox with those rules. Certainly, that's what we have to do. However, if you are just staying stagnant where you're at, right? Because the big date is July right now with these settlements. If you wait until July to change what you could have been working on from, April 1 to July 1, that's 3 months last time I checked, right? And you can start making these changes and implementing things and, doing things that are actually good for your business, regardless of if the changes take place or not, and push forward, right? Certainly we're not, changing our exact buyer's presentation to say, this is how it is, this is the rules, but start to build a unique value proposition. Start to put out your value that, put together, right? You don't even have to push it out yet, but put it together, maybe get some reps in, get some practice, right? You don't throw a no-hitter on the first day of spring training. And so that's that's the group that I'm actually talking to right now, to let's just move forward, right? Let's just understand, okay, this is kind of what's going to happen, and this is how I'm going to change my business. Is that to dial in a very stellar buyer's presentation? Is that to become a listing agent, a more focused on listings? Certainly, right? List to survive, list or die, all of these things have been out there in our industry. You should have already been trying to become a listing agent if you were buyer focused. However, now it's kind of a trendy thing to do. So what have I done? I am releasing at the end of April, beginning of May, I will be releasing a webinar that's called Buyer's Agent to Listing Agent in 30 Days. If you are interested in getting on the pre-list and hopefully getting it that last week of April, comment webinar below and I will make sure that the information is emailed to you so that you can access that. It will be full of a ton of information on exactly how you can use your past experience as a buyer's agent to become a listing agent. And if you're new, it's something that you can look at so that when you're setting up the foundations of your business, they can be more listing focused. And I want you guys to hear that this is not the only thing that I'm doing in my business. I'm probably going to be doing both, really dialing in my buyer's presentation, changing a couple things about how I operate within the buyer's relationship, and doing that as well. I'm not saying that buyer's agents are going away. However, if you want to become a listing agent, regardless of if the commission lawsuits, that webinar will give you a 30-day blueprint to absolutely crush it. So comment webinar below. And then the last thing I really want to say about the settlements and NAR in general is let's back off and really look at what's happening, right? A lot of people are of the opinion that NAR sold us up the river. The truth is, when I read that the DOJ reviewed the Seattle case from a couple years ago that they're not even reviewing, I'm not sure how that happened, but they looked at it in comparison to the upcoming, whatever their upcoming lawsuits and upcoming settlements and all the things, and they said buyers should be allowed to negotiate their commission with their agent. And they also said that they thought that sellers should only have to pay the listing agent, and it should be illegal for sellers to pay buyer's agent. This was just a position regarding that lawsuit, that settlement, and everything that happened before. But when I read that second one, I was like, that could really change the industry. So NAR's kind of backed into a corner. They're being named in multiple lawsuits that are even the ticket price, right, to fight those lawsuits is probably more than they have in their bank account. And then you have, a situation where this, I think, was the only way to survive, right? As NAR, as an agent voice, and people say, what have they done? They don't do anything. I don't get free rental cars. I don't get health insurance. That's a very self-centered approach to what they do. They do a ton for us. 1031 exchanges, the FEMA disaster relief stuff, constantly talking about, tax benefits and the interest tax benefit. And they are one of the bigger lobbying groups on Capitol Hill. And so if you start to think, if NAR goes away and some of those things change because there's no one to stand up for it, because certainly the realtors aren't going to go and do it themselves, right? And so if you think about that and them going away, we might have bigger fish to fry than just this commission lawsuit. So in my opinion, they stepped back, they said, what can we offer? It has to be a big number to make it go away, to make sure that, this is the last of the last and we can make a path moving forward and help our agents succeed. They had to come out with something like they did, right? And in doing so, they are fighting for the listing agent or seller to continue to have the opportunity to pay the buyer's agent commission. That's what's in the fine print, right? Certainly buyers are going to have the conversation. Certainly there might be sellers and listing agents that don't offer a co-op at all, and they can't put it in the MLS according to the settlement. So we're going to have to get better at conversations. But just think, if that went away and they were still appealing and still doing the thing, and the DOJ, they fought it all the way through, spent a ton of money on just fighting the thing, and the DOJ came out and they said, yep, this is how it's going to be. Buyers pay buyer's agents, sellers pay seller's agents, that's it, right? That was a very likely outcome of what was going on. And so I want you to be very careful about how you talk about NAR, how you think about this, because when I took that perspective and I was like, this is really all I could see they could do, then that was beyond. I was done with that. That wasn't a problem anymore. And so now we're focused in on, okay, what can I do now that they, threw out a life raft? Hopefully it's accepted. Again, the settlements are completely proposed. Nothing is in, stone. And so hopefully we over the next couple months, while we're doing this agent change series, we get a few things dialed in, but I don't care. I'm going to change my business because this is what the consumer now has information to that we want to do. And to say that, we weren't doing this already and serving the consumer and commissions were negotiable, I'm not here to talk about that, right? We're not here to argue that anymore. This is what the position is. This is legislation. The DOJ is involved. Like, who cares? Whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to be better off for it. And I'm going to plan for the worst, right? I'm actually going to be planning that sellers won't pay a buyer's agent, right? And then if there's some sort of in between, which the settlement kind of proposes, in my opinion, I'm going to be ready to roll. My business is going to be better for it, and we're going to be moving forward. So moving forward, welcome to the 10-part series. This is video number 1. We will get this all in a month, so there will be some bonus releases within. I will have some interviews on with specific people who are dialing in exactly things that we need to focus on, from niches to using technology to some other things. And it's going to be 10 videos of pure fire. I'm also releasing that webinar, so webinar below. But if you're just like, I hate webinars, I'm going to do this, just subscribe to my channel and get these next 10 videos. I will give you exactly what I'm doing and the blueprint for you to move your business from buyer-centric to maybe balanced, or buyer-centric to maybe listing-centric, right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about using niches. We're going to talk about building value propositions. And we're going to talk about all the things in between that you can be doing, and little ninja tricks, right? Ninja ideas, not even tricks. They're not tricks, right? Ninja ideas for you to better serve the consumer. So definitely subscribe if you're in for that. But from a mindset point of view, let's just focus right now and do the work. Over the next 3 months, I'm committed to helping you. I'm available via Realtor playbook calls below. You can click that link, and let's just move forward, right? Let's quit lamenting on what could have been, what might be, what maybe be, what is, and let's just say, okay, we're going to look at this, and it's an opportunity to dial in our business. By the way, we're still in the busiest real estate season in most markets there is. So we're going to have to do this and maybe put a little extra work in while we're still continuing to serve our clients. But you will not be disappointed if in July, all of a sudden the MLS co-op turns off in the MLS, because you will have a plan. You will have a plan moving forward. You should have a marketing plan for your listings so that in the event the seller says, nope, I'm not going to pay it, that you can show them how you're going to market the property and how you're going to best get that property sold. Because let's not forget, our job on the sales side is to, work with the seller in conjunction with the seller's wishes and emotions and get the property sold, right? You can still make money if buyer's commissions went out the window completely. If you're dialing in that piece, the conversations are going to be different on that side. And that is probably the most important thing I'm going to say to you is, certainly everyone's focused on their buyer's proposition, their niche, and how they're going to do this, and are they going to serve buyers and all the things. I think that the conversations on the listing side and your listing presentation is of utmost importance. And I think there's opportunity to make good money within your commission offerings on that side as well, no matter what the seller says. And so I want you guys to understand this is a holistic approach. Please do not just focus on buyers, how you're going to change it, whatever, this, that, the other thing, and abandon your seller presentation and your skills on that side. So we're going to dial all that in. We're going to talk about this over the next 10 videos. Again, the month of April is going to be life-changing if you take action and you start making these improvements now. I'm here to help through this series, through the webinar, And of course, my foundations course will be coming out May 1 as well. So super excited for you guys. Have a bunch of stuff for you. Please reach out. If you like what I said, if you have questions about what I said, if you hate what I said, hit those comments. Don't forget to quote webinar below. I'll make sure you get the first email blast on that when it is ready for you, and we will absolutely dive in. We'll talk to you soon. Go get a win today.